All right, so good morning, everyone from New York, and I hope everyone is enjoying the holiday season. I'm Dr. Dennis Octavio Melendez, the program director at Cientifico Latino, and I'm very happy to have you here with us today for our webinar, Grad School Interviews, Do's and Don'ts. This public webinar is a part of the Graduate Student Mentorship Initiative 2025 curriculum and is being recorded. And facilitating our workshop is Maria Mercedes. Maria is a fifth-year PhD candidate at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. She's conducting her dissertation research in Elena Ejova's laboratory, focusing on the role of the BRACM protein 1, BAP1, in skin development. Originally from the Dominican Republic, Maria is a proud first-generation student dedicated to sharing her higher education experience in hopes of inspiring the next generation interested in pursuing a career in biomedical research. And just a small disclaimer that Maria is not here today representing her university or graduate program, but reflecting on her own privately held beliefs. So, Maria, if you can please share your screen and take it away.
Thank you for your great introduction. Actually, you said what I was about to say. Oh, yeah, the two slides that you actually put on. This is great. So I'm Maria Mercedes. I'm a fifth-year PhD student, as he said, and I really enjoy helping others. I would never forget how it was when I was in your shoes. So, and that's one of the reasons why I never stop helping others. So how to ace your graduate school interview. So you went through this whole process for the past few months preparing to apply to graduate school and all your paper by now, or there are a few schools that you have not submitted to, but it's done. And now you are in the waiting process during the incubation period. And you get an email saying that you're going to get an interview. So this is big. And as Melinda said, I do not represent my school or the graduate program. So these are everything that I have learned in the process from applying to graduate school, interviewing student at the graduate school for biomedical sciences, and things that I have learned from my friends. So today I'm going to give you advice, and I call it practical tips for the preparation. Preparation is important. And the way that you've been preparing for applying to graduate school, it's not going to be much different from what you've been doing up to this point. So you researched the school, you did your essay. So now is the personal part of the application. And what does it mean to be asked to come for an interview at that institution? We're going to touch upon that. And as you already know, being able to communicate effectively is very important. So people get a good impression of you. And of course, be professional. As soon as you leave your door, your house, be professional. Get into in the interview mode. That's how I call it. And that's actually what I learned from a postbac program that I was part of, is that be professional as soon as you leave your house. So preparation, first impression. So people would remember you with this first impression that you give to them about you. So make sure that you do your best introducing yourself. Make sure you practice your elevator speech. This is something that I learned at Abercrombie a few years ago. But practice talking about yourself. Feel comfortable. If you have an interview in person, shake hands, introduce yourself, and remember that the interview process starts as soon as you leave your house. Have a positive attitude, a positive mindset. you're doing your best. So be happy. There are people who are so excited, and I've noticed that when I actually interview students or give the tour, that they're so happy and so excited that they don't talk at all. So be able to have this use this positive attitude to help you in a positive way, to give a good impression and to be present during the interview. And as you are in the interview, make sure that you dress properly. So interview, if you're gonna interview in the Northeast or Midwest, if the temperature is too cold, or if you have an interview in Florida as well, make sure that you are dressing comfortable. So don't not use clothes that you haven't tried, that you now discover that this is too tight or something is bothering you. So just feel comfortable and make sure if you have an extra layer with you. Don't carry heavy book bag. Make sure that you are comfortable and you can walk because part of the interview process, you're going to walk to different buildings. Okay, so definitely dress properly. Some of you, Zoom, as you can see, is very useful. I love it. So there might be cases where you will be interviewed through Zoom. So you're going to have an online interview. When I applied to graduate school, my interview was via Zoom, and I make sure that I reserved the room and nobody was going there. I make sure that I was comfortable in that conference room. I will have no one disturbing me. So make sure that you have reliable internet if you go to the library or a place that you feel comfortable. And something I have learned for the past few years is the camera and eye contact. Make sure that the person actually see that you are engaged. And by now, I guess everybody feel comfortable having meetings online. So you have learned how to practice interview and having conversation that the person can actually feel that you're paying attention. And be actively engaged. That's very important. So put your cell phone away. Make sure you don't have your cat or anything else running around while you're interviewing. I was actually recommended to have one of those lights on top of your camera that really give you more brightness and it's not so dark. So I'm not promoting Amazon here, but anywhere where you like to buy it, either Target, wherever you feel more comfortable, get one of those little light and that would help you to look better. So as part of the preparation process, um, one of the advice that a friend, I asked other people, what kind of advice would you give newcomers based on your experience? And know your application. So just don't throw your application away. I don't think that your application is part of it. You're done with it and you don't have to look at it anymore. So make sure you review your application or specifically your personal statement. So for each school, remember you selected reason why you're applying to the school, the PI that you potentially want to work with, and the reason why you want to go to that school. So you already have, I would say, 50% of the battles done. So that's the reason why your application process, what you have done already, is going to help you a lot. And questions that, as you were looking at their website, things that were not answered, you feel that all your questions were not answered. So go back to your personal statement and just review again the website and compare and see what questions are really, just write down what are potential questions I want to ask. So that's part of the preparation. So definitely connect with the program and be confident in your response. Be familiar, have those questions down. And what I say by confidence that um, when you look at the website, make sure you're not just writing down questions that you can easily answer to yourself. Because people are going to get upset if you just ask a question that you just Google it and it's going to be easily answered. Okay. And so understanding the interview, you were selected. So the competition is high, as we all know, and it's really hard right now. So you were selected for the interview. So that means they're really interested in you. So relax. Now they want to meet the person. So make sure that you practice. And you were selected because there's something in your either their recommendation speak very highly of you, your research experiences. So there's no doubt that the reason why you are invited to this place is because you are a competitive applicant. Okay. And now they actually want to meet that person, make sure that it's actually human. And what you said in paper, you can actually articulate it now in person. So now that you are here, you have the great opportunity to make a great impression. And remember, this process of making a great impression, being the interview mode, you start as soon as you left your house. So as soon as you leave your house, you're walking and practicing a little more. Relax. And when you get there, remember that this is not just for them just to evaluate you. So make sure that you selected the school because you were also interested in them. So this is an opportunity for the two of you to actually interview each other. Okay. And then you're going to have the questions and answer session. And remember, in the session that I talked about in preparing for the interview, as you read through your personal statement and as you look through the program, you're writing down the questions that you will ask. And as you're also doing that, I think that in Cientifico Latino website, there's also a question that they might be interested in asking you. If not, if anyone needs help with this, I'm more than happy to anyone to reach out and I can send the kind of question that I'm usually being asked for and how to practice responding them. So you are going to be interviewed by the faculty, sometime by staff and student. So I'm going to start with the faculty. And remember, this is a two-way stream. As you most likely going to meet with them in their office. And since you're already dressed properly and comfortable, make sure that if you have to go through stairs and things like that, make sure if you happen to like to wear high heel, make sure that you are comfortable on those shoes. So when you get there, make sure you know how to do the handshake, firm handshake, if the person feel comfortable in doing that. Show interest and engagement in the interview. And make sure that you bring your notebook. It's okay to take out your notebook and take out your questions. I remember when I was interviewed and when I interview students and I have asked faculty about how do they feel about having a student being asked, is it okay to take out my questions? Some people actually like that to demonstrate that you will prepare. So you can take out your questions. And this question that you have composed, make sure that you um, went through it and you actually thought about it. They're not questions that can just be answered through the emails. Through the just searching in the website. Some websites, especially for the faculty, they tend to be old, and in their research topics, if there's any research topic that you might be interested in is in their website, please ask them because not everything that's in the website is up to date. So that would be one of the questions that you want to ask. So you can ask about that is their research interest. You can ask questions about the uniqueness of this program and how they perceive this program to have progressed through the years. You can also, and I definitely encouraged to ask questions about mentoring and mentoring opportunity for you if you're interested in that. Or how do they feel about you having students that are very active in social activities or programs? Some people will be, they can tell you right on the spot if it's something that they like or not. So my point here is that in meeting with the faculty, be able to feel comfortable and ask the kind of questions. When it comes to research interest, be prepared that some faculty are going to test you on the work that you have done before. So make sure that you actually understand the work that you've done before. One of the key questions that faculty tend to ask, and you're going to be asked repeatedly, is imagine if you were to come back to this lab as a PhD student or as a postdoc, how will you move your research forward? Be able to feel comfortable on that. Feel comfortable in thinking on the spot. Okay, be able, and if you don't know something, be honest and say that you don't know. But be able to think about and give an appropriate answer to that question. Okay, so be able to talk about the science and engage as much as possible. Melendez, we will have questions or something?
Sorry, I was muted. Um, so you can go through the your slides and we'll save the questions for the end.
Perfect. Okay. So now come the part with the students. Students are going to interview you. Students were selected by the program directors. So, and the student actually were prepared to interview you. So the students are not just randomly appearing during the interview just to show up and ask a question because it's free food. Um, no, actually, this is well organized, and please respect the student and take them seriously. They are part of the interview process. I am a student, and as a PhD student, I was selected, and I interview incoming students. So be prepared to ask questions about the program, things that you went through the website and you felt that everything in the website was not completely answered, or what you read, you were not completely satisfied. So you can ask the student. The students are there to help you understand the program. Some people, I mean, most of the people there that are interviewing, or the students that are interviewing you, they're happy about the program. They like the program, and they're active participant in that program. And they're most likely part of some sort of club or career development. And they're not going to just lie to you about the program. Okay, so feel comfortable to speak to them. So you can ask them questions about the strength and the weakness of the program. You can definitely ask questions about work balance. And if you're interested in how inclusive and diverse the program is, and this last part of diversity and inclusion, so most schools by now have, removed DEI office. So be careful how you phrase that question. But most schools, that does not mean that schools are just erase everybody else who believe in DEI and they're out of there. I believe in supporting everyone, and I'm still here. So if that's something that you're interested, please ask. Something else to ask the student, because we're actually doing research. Ask about the work that we're doing, you know, ask about dissertation. You can, usually you should get the name of the student that you're going to be interviewed by, and you can just search it in LinkedIn and you can find out who they're working with. And so you can have a more um, a comfortable conversation if you research that person before you meet with them. Or you can email them ahead of time if possible and get to know them. Okay. But what is very important, and the reason why I make so much emphasis is that, and in the graduate student particularly, is because unfortunately, there was like about 2 students who did not take graduate students seriously, and then where they were honestly dropped. But they did not. They believed that the student were not part of the process, and they did not behave well with the students. And this is something that the student passed along to the program directors. So don't go too relaxed with the PhD student. They're actually interviewing you. Okay, so use them for your advantage to learn more about the program. Okay. Eventually, if you get to the program, you can become their friend. But at that moment, please, they are all the professionals as part of the application process. So like I said before, common questions now that they might ask you now. So remember that this is a two-way street. Now you may ask them, and they're going to ask you similar questions. So the interview is not just asking questions. It's also giving you a tour throughout their institution, and they're showing you their facility. This also is going to be a social event. They most likely take you to have lunch or dinner. Okay, so through the entire process, professionalism is key. So I mentioned this before, dress comfortably. Only bring necessary material with you. Okay, don't bring a tablet, a computer that you might not going to use. So just try to, I don't know, practice uh, or think about how you're going to feel that the next day so you don't carry so many things. I've seen people carrying 2 bags. Sometimes I know that you have to travel to another state, but do your best that you don't have to carry so many things with you on that day, and definitely maintain a positive attitude. Now the social event. So after the interview process, after the tour, most likely after 6, you are going to be invited either to a restaurant or the dean or one of the head of the department's house. You can either just go as a group or you go individually or you just go with the student. So there's going to be a social part. If you do it online, when I interview, I have my online interview. So the graduate school made a social event, but it was like a game interacting with the graduate student. It was not with faculty, unfortunately. And I did not realize that, I mean, we did a game. So because I was in the interview mode for the entire process, I took any game, any coffee hours online very serious. So even doesn't matter what it is, as part of this, anything that happened on that day, you make sure you take it as a very important part of the application. So you get to the social event. The idea of the social event is to evaluate how you behave yourself professionally. Avoid negative comments. Let's say during the day and now at night, you're very tired and you happen to, I don't know, you were interviewed by a faculty or student, or you got to see something that you did not like. Please do not criticize other people with the PhD student that interview you or with all the applicants. Because I have heard that at the end of the day, people start to get, relaxed. Sorry, they get relaxed or they start drinking. If you're not a drinker, please don't drink. That's not a day to start learning how to drink. Get to relax. Okay. Don't have a beer. This is not a day to grab one. Even if you drink, guests don't drink that thing. So people get too relaxed and they start criticizing the faculty or criticizing other applicants. And that's actually something that, that I heard about um, um, prospective applicant starting criticizing all the applicants doing the social events. So one of the PhD students who were seen in the process, she brought that up. Oh, I don't like that person because she was, talking very badly about others, so they were not behaving among themselves. So it's not just you behaving with the people from the institution, but it's also how will you behave among other students, okay? So they're really evaluating you, not how you talk about your science or how do you make this great impression, but what kind of student are you going to be? Are you going to be problematic? Okay. So this is the personal component of the interview. So this social event is also an evaluation. Um, dress properly, okay? Don't get too comfortable because it's a social event. So make sure that you wear proper clothes, even though it's a social event. So the interview, the social event is definitely not this. You're not gonna go and they're not gonna take you to and throw it and weird party, okay? That's not gonna happen. So the social event, I mean, it's academia. So you can imagine that it's gonna be something more like this, more relaxed. I'm gonna be a lot of light and casual conversation. Okay, so at this point, I'm assuming that most of you attend social events in the department. So that's how the social event is going to look more like. It is possible that you have the dinner with the faculty and they're going to interview, just be part there, especially people from the head of the department to speak to you. And those kind of conversation actually become part of the application because they can advocate for you. Okay, so make sure that you can trying to keep your energy. I know it's going to be, it gets very tiring. Sometimes the interview is more than one day. So make sure that you take care of yourself and go to sleep early. Okay, so um, the social event is also part of the evaluation. So post interview and my final advice. Let's say you're going to travel back home. On your way home, remember, now until you get back home, you are in the process, even though you get on the plane. So I remember I was going back into the plane, and there was another person who was interviewing, and the person was talking very badly about the program in the plane. So you don't know who is around, okay? Or who's going to be sitting next to you. So make sure that you behave the entire day. During that process that you are going back, reflect on your experience. Write things down that you perhaps want to email back to the program. Reflect on your experience, who you spoke to, and do this as soon as possible so it's fresh in your mind. I actually have my notes from my interviews, and when I prepare for this kind of presentation, I like to read them and put myself back into that moment. So that's the reason why these notes are important. So when if there's anything that you forgot to ask or someone said, I'm going to follow up with anything, make sure you get back to them, okay? So relax and recharge because this process is hard and it can take a lot of energy of you, okay? So once you're actually home, relax. You've done your best, okay? You did your best applying to the program. You research everything under the sun that you can possibly do. You did mock interview with people that you trust, not only with friends, but with faculty. Be honest to yourself. So once you have done all of this, relax and just sit down and wait. So I hope that from this presentation, you can appreciate all the parts of the interview process, okay? Make sure that you first thoroughly research the program. Remember, you've done this, and now it's a matter for you to be able to articulate what you have done. Prepare your questions. The questions not only that you want to ask, but the questions that you might be asked. Be confident about the process. You were selected because you are a competitor applicant, and they're already seeing something in you, okay? And now it's a matter for you to demonstrate and assure that, yes, this is the person that you actually read about, and I'm going to demonstrate that. While you are, when you're there, remember that this is not for them just to evaluate you, for you to evaluate them. Make sure that what they're advertised in their website, it's actually who they actually are. And close to us and see if this is a place where you see yourself being for the past 5 to 6 years. Let's say if you are not used to being in the city. I grew up in New York, I grew up in Brooklyn. So when I applied to graduate school, I knew that I want to be in a place where I feel comfortable and I will feel happy. In New York just made me happy. Just being here made me feel happy. So when the train does not work, I step out and I'm in New York, so it's okay. And practice is very critical. Okay, make sure that you practice as much as possible. And when once you're done, make sure that you actually take a break because once you start, you're gonna most likely start taking courses and have rotations. So make sure that you don't go straight from either work, most likely, and straight to the PhD program. Make sure that you take a break in between, okay? And you take care of yourself. And with this, I want to thank Cientifico Latino for inviting me to share my experience and giving advice how to prepare for the interview process. Thank you.
That was great, Maria. Thank you so much for the presentation. Um, so now we will have the floor open for questions. So any participants that would like to ask questions, you can just feel free to open up the Q&A section and type in whatever you'd like. And I'll just read out the questions out loud, and Maria can, go ahead and answer. So the first question right now is right. So there's a question in the chat. Um, just I want to say you should be writing in the Q&A for any questions, not in the chat. That way we can more easily keep track of everything in one place. Thank you. So there's someone that wants to be able to connect with you. Um, so that's a little more personal. And you can type an answer to that, or if you wish to just share your LinkedIn or anything like that.
Yes, what do I type in? Yes, I can type it here. You can type my email, it's fine. Let me give it to you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So the first question from Elizabeth Seymour, we have, hi Maria, thank you so much for this presentation. I learned so much. I have two questions. One, I have a 30-minute virtual semi-structured interview. How can I make the best possible impact from start to end? And two, what are your thoughts on creating a PowerPoint presentation with common questions? and presenting it to your interviewers.
So you have a 30-minute presentation?
Yes, it's a 30-minute virtual interview is one. So just how to make the best impact during this virtual interview. Um, the second is what do you think about creating a PowerPoint presentation um, to present during that interview?
Well, you're lucky you have a 30-minute. It's usually 15 minutes or so they're giving you a lot of time.
Yeah, 30 minutes you
Um,
get to really they'll get to know you. They'll get to
yes,
know you
yes.
well.
So don't be surprised that's not enough time. 30 minutes is a lot. So if you were to be doing the in person, you will have 30 minutes. You will be interviewing with three people in 30 minutes. So yes, I would say to have like a 5-minute um, PowerPoint presentation, but be strategic about how you're going to do this presentation. Okay, I would say to have it about the work that you've done. They already read your personal statement, and they're going to review your personal statement right before they meet with you, so everything's going to be fresh. So they're most likely going to ask you a question about the work that you're doing right now. Okay. They might ask you a question just to test you. So be prepared to do not put fancy words in your personal statement like CRISPR or multiomic or anything like that, that it sounds nice on paper, but be able to explain what does that mean and why is it used for. So I would prepare at least for 5-minute presentation. What was the big question? What was the big picture? What was discovered? And what is most important is how is this going to be pushed forward? It's very important to demonstrate that you can think. Most people are technicians. Right now, when they leave undergrads in the process of going to graduate school, make sure that you leave the mindset of being a tech. And don't try to make such a great impression that you were working by yourself. That's not true. You were not working by yourself. You were working under someone's supervision. That person maybe gave you a lot of liberty to work on your by yourself, but be able to explain the project. What was the big picture? What was the hypothesis that you were testing? And be able to defend what you wrote on your personal statement. Do not write anything that you cannot discuss. And good luck, okay? Practice. Feel comfortable looking at the screen and practice with someone, okay? Make the best of that 30 minutes. I hope that can help you.
Have the next question is regarding the profession, dressing professionally. Do you recommend that men wear a suit or business casual?
I've seen both, but just make sure grad school is more business casual. And in the lab, you're gonna see people with jeans. So I would say business casual. What do you think, Melendez?
Yeah, I'd say either is fine. Um, you know, if you have a nice suit, there's no reason not to wear that nice suit. But if let's say your suit's a little old and baggy, doesn't fit quite well, and you can put together a nicer, business casual outfit, then go with the business casual thing.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. I was told that now Christmas is coming, and since you're going to have interviews, instead of asking for an iPhone, ask for money so you can buy good clothes for your interview. Excuse to go shopping.
Right. So I've heard conflicting things about reaching out to faculty members before interviews. What is your take on that?
Yes, I heard faculty. I asked faculty about this. Some people are not interested. Some people say they're not going to waste your time. because you're not in the program yet. And so some people are nice and they do respond, but when you reach out to a faculty, make sure you really read that email very carefully, and that this is not a AI generated email, and you went through their website. You really know what they're working on. So if you do reach out, be careful how you compose that email, honestly. And don't be surprised they don't respond. Either they're busy, or from what I got is that if you're not in the program yet, why should they be spending the time with you? They have other things to do.
Yeah, I would agree that it's not really necessary to do this at this stage. Like, I think it's important when you were applying, to reach out to some faculty that, whose lab you may be interested in joining, to, just figure out if they're accepting students and things like that. But now, once your foot is already in the door, unless you're, going to be interviewing with that same faculty that you previously contacted, and, maybe already built up a little bit of a, you know, um, line of communication, I think it's probably not going to help you too much to reach out. And more likely than not, like Maria was saying, is that they wouldn't even, they may not even respond.
Yes. Use that time to read their Puffman. Use that time to go like past 5 years and I don't know, most recent and far. You can make a better impression that you really know what they're working on and you're really interested in what they're working on rather than emailing them, honestly. Use this time to prepare yourself.
Yeah, I think it's definitely very important to read, a little bit of the work from everybody that's interviewing you. And everybody likes to talk about themselves. Scientists love to talk about their own research. So you, one tactic you might want to use is to kind of turn it almost the interview and view almost into an interview of them. Um, even if you're not interested in their lab, or
Mm-hmm.
even their work, um,
Mm-hmm.
you ask them questions, and they'll probably be more happy to talk about that than anything else.
Yeah, someone told me that it was a 15-minute interview and it was all about the PI. They didn't have any question from the student. It was just all about the PI. So that was great. And he
Yeah,
was
because they
impressed
can
with the
still,
student.
yeah, and they
The
still
student didn't
gather a
say
lot of
anything,
good
and the
information.
PI was impressed with the student.
Exactly. They discover that you know how to think. You
Yeah.
ask interesting questions.
Hmm.
You can
That's
be
the
excited
point.
about science. You
Hmm.
know, so they still pick up on good things.
Yes.
All right. What if I'm interviewed by faculty or students that I already know? Should anything in my approach change?
Um, well, that happened to me. Uh, so number one, you should not know the person or the student too much because the student should um, say that they know this person and they should not be interviewing you. This is a bias. So when I was interviewing anybody that I knew, I said I cannot interview this person. I don't feel comfortable. So be honest. The I don't know how close you to a PI that they will know you so much. If it's not your current PI, I don't think that there'll be a problem. They will be professional, and I think that won't be a problem with the PI. But for the PhD student, I would say if you don't feel too comfortable, ask if the student cannot have someone else to interview you. Because you don't want the program to say that um, was the evaluation done on bias? Is that person doing you a favor? You don't want any doubts. So I completely refrain from interviewing friends. That's just me. What do you think, Melinda?
I, I it's definitely you know that's a noble way to go about it. Um, but let's say that this attendee was asking the question because they don't intend on not interviewing with this
Oh,
faculty or student that they know. Um, then how should they approach the interviews? Do they
I would say
do they change anything about their demeanor with this
no,
person?
no, I would say behave the same way. Be professional throughout. They're being professional throughout, so be professional. And that would demonstrate that, number one, you're going to be your colleague because that's one of the things that for a PhD student, when interviewing all their prospective students, that how do you see that person as part of the program? You think that will be a student that you feel comfortable working with? Would that be someone that you could will be able to collaborate? You see collaborating with. So I would say keep the same mindset. So I saw people that I knew in when they were interviewing. So I treat them the same.
Thank you. So the next question here, I say, hi, thank you for all the advice. Last year, I was invited to a university for an interview, and during the social event, most of the faculty were sitting in one table, so I wasn't sure how to approach them. Any advice on this?
Mm, I can see that. That's weird. Because the social event
That's
never
not good
happened.
on them, I think.
Yes.
That that's them
No.
showing improper etiquette.
Yes, yes, because because the faculty that are there are supposed to be recruiting the student.
Yeah, it's almost like a bad test to see which student is bold enough to approach the table.
That's really
It
hard to
shouldn't
say
be that
too.
way.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, usually the faculty that are there, they're there to make an impression. Demonstrate the department is open and collaborate, and you are gonna be friendly to the student. It's a place where students should feel comfortable and like talking to the faculty. So I can see how uncomfortable that would be. And probably the director of the program was probably there, I hope. And that person could be a bridge to the faculty. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. So if you can find a way how to bridge you and the faculty, that way a different thing. But remember, this is a two-way street, okay? So your question would be, would it always be like this? Are they just not reachable? Or is it because they just tend to hang out in clusters? So I don't know, find a way how to reach.
Yeah, I mean this definitely happens with faculty. They do tend to kind of gravitate to one another because they're being amongst their peers, right? You gravitate
Hmm.
towards your peers, and this is
Hmm.
it's quite normal. I think they should not behave, try to make a conscious effort to not do this during this interview weekend that the graduate students maybe are trying to get FaceTime. And this is the whole reason that the faculty are kind of there in the same space as the students, our prospective students, is because you want to try to get some interfacing going on. Um, so hopefully this is not what they're doing, but it can happen because it's just what tends to happen. How we gravitate to people, and then of course you can always say, okay, I'm gonna be the one to go and talk to this person if if you really want to talk to the faculty,
Yeah, so
and
you have the PhD student there too. You can tell the PhD student, hey, I'm interested in talking to X. And since they're, they're all there, you think it's possible for me? Would it be okay to go there and just jump in, or can you introduce me to them? And the PhD student should be able to be a bridge. I said, but
Right.
not, don't be scared. They're there to be friendly.
All right. So it looks like, all right, we just, I was going to say the final question, but we just got one more. So when asking questions on the research, faculty's research, what's an example of a good question? Should it be about the methodology, next steps, clarifications, etc.?
So let's say you did your research, you read one of the papers. Feel comfortable discussing the paper. Good question is, and make sure you read the discussion. The discussion have a lot of good ideas about what's going to be next. So you can, number one, ask for clarification if you have any. Two, one of the good questions is moving forward. So read the paper and how would you move this project forward? If you come in as a postdoc, how would you continue? And that's a way how to, start the conversation to demonstrate that you are, you can think and you can actually make up hypotheses and how to test them, okay? But just don't ask questions for the sake of asking them.
Definitely, make you want the questions to be thoughtful and just kind of echoing what Maria said. Um, Figuring out how the project can move forward is always a good way to go. But in theory, you can ask about anything that you find interesting in the paper. You just want it to be, thoughtful questions. It shouldn't be like very basic, questions that don't really show that that you're thinking critically about the faculty's work or that you have a strong understanding of their research. Okay, final question. Could you speak more about how to broach questions, both diversity and inclusion?
Yes, I hear you. Um, so I know that most schools have either removed their office, but this is a question I will ask the student and the head of the department or the head of the PhD program. Um, you should be able to feel comfortable to ask the PI, or you can look at the website, the most current member. And I don't think that anyone is going to be rude because, as you probably know, science is has been hit very bad at this moment. So I'll try to be careful how you phrase it and exactly what are you asking? What is it that you want to know? And the student body should tell you what was the commitment with diversity at the school before this happened, and what is the commitment now. But I understand where you're coming from.
So thanks again, Maria. I think, we should wrap up. We are at the end of the hour here. It was great having you. It was a very awesome presentation with, a lot of useful information. Thanks so much to the participants that have joined us today. Um, whether you're part of the GSMI with Cientifico Latino or you're from the public um, audience, we hope that you enjoyed and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.